One of the downsides of Eisner was that he was outsourcing creativity. Disney grew into the powerhouse that it became because the founder, Walt Disney, insisted that his company create its own animated characters and be in control of them. However, under Eisner, Disney was outsourcing the process of creating new characters from other companies like Pixar. Eisner saw it as more cost effective and labeled what he was doing as creative cost consciousness. But what investors saw it as was that Eisner would seek excellent entertainment on the cheap, and this upset them. And things became worse when Eisner damaged the relationship Disney had with Pixar because of his troubled relationship with Steve Jobs, who was the founder, like I said before. And this was because of Eisner's excessive self-confidence and pride. Walt Disney Company's own animation unit couldn't come up with the hits that Pixar was coming up with, and it was hurting the Walt Disney Company. Another one of Eisner's main deficiencies was his inability to pay attention to the advice of others. Also on the Disney board, there were two directors that challenged Eisner directly, and they were the only two who did that. One was Roy Disney, who was the nephew of Walt Disney, the founder of the Walt Disney Company, and Roy was the chairman of Disney's feature animation division. The other director that challenged Eisner directly was Stanley Gold, and he was Roy Disney's investment manager. Now Eisner was a control freak, and as the Walt Disney Company was becoming more unsuccessful, he realized he needed to name a successor. But if he was going to, he wanted to create and groom his own perfect successor, which was impossible to do, and Eisner seemed to drag his feet on identifying a new successor. Roy Disney and Stanley Gold pushed Eisner to name a successor because the company was continuing to fail. But Eisner didn't listen to Roy or Stanley, even though they kept repeatedly pushing him to name a successor for the betterment of the company. But because Eisner didn't listen to their advice, it forced Roy Disney to leave the board and the Walt Disney Company. Stanley Gold shortly after resigned, and both him and Roy Disney left some not-so-nice resignation letters to Eisner about his management failures. And now Allie will talk about Roy Disney's resignation letter.